Guys, tonight we have a 12-team PPR mock draft. I got some of my writers on. We're going to do a mock draft, guys, so hang tight, and we'll be knocking this mock draft out here pretty quick here. All right, guys, hang tight.
Fantasy football, you dealing with the best. Keep it hype, authentic, this ain't nothing like the rest. With the Armchair Fantasy Show Podcast, give advice for all the listeners to improve your stats. Yeah, we live on GoingFor2.com. Tuesdays and Fridays, this is what you want. Talking dynasties and daily drafts, and we just getting started, that ain't even the half. Yeah, so go ahead, tell your friends to join. Going for two, cause no one remembers the extra point. Hey, GoingFor2.com, the Armchair Fantasy Show.
What is going on, guys? All right, welcome to episode 97 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. We're here every Tuesday and Friday nights on Periscope, YouTube, and Facebook. And, of course, we're syndicated on all your major podcast networks. As I mentioned in the open, we are doing a 12-team PPR Redraft mock. We're getting ready to hit the season here pretty soon. We're coming down to the last week of preseason. People have their drafts this weekend. It's a big draft weekend, so I figured we'd get some of my writers on board here, and then we'll do a quick mock draft here to give you some ideas of what you can expect for your drafts. So first things first, let's meet the panel here. Of course, I'm here as always with my co-host, Mr. Ryan Cearfoss, who will be part of the mock draft. Ryan, how you doing tonight, man?
Pretty good. About yourself?
Not too bad, man. I'm glad to be almost ready for the football season, man. It's almost here.
And draft season's almost hit, or
Yep.
Getting through draft season. Got one left.
Yep. Also joining us tonight for the first time, Mr. Tyler Makins. Did I say your last name right, Tyler?
Pretty close, Makings.
Makings.
Yeah, pretty close.
Good deal. How you doing tonight, man? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Not too bad, man. Not too bad. Glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, glad to be here for the first time.
And then we've got two people on audio only. We have Nick You for GoingFor2.com. This is his second appearance on the show. Nick, how you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on again, Jeff.
Yeah, I think we had you on not even 2 weeks ago. I don't think you came on.
Yeah, just about maybe less than 2 weeks.
Yep.
But I had a good time then, and excited to be on tonight. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And also we have Tyler Reynolds. Since we have two Tylers here tonight, we're going to use just his last name so we won't be confused. So we're just going to call him Reynolds. Tyler, how you doing tonight, man?
Oh, pretty good, man. Living the dream. How's it going, boys?
Not too bad. Excited to get this mock draft rolling. I'm curious to your thoughts. So I'm not going to be part of the mock draft. I'm just going to be the one facilitating it. I tried to do a mock draft the last time we did this, and it was a disaster. Trying to host the show as well as mock draft was nearly impossible. So,
hey, at least you had excuses for some bad picks, man.
Yeah, good point. All right, so just a couple things before we get to the actual mock draft here. I want to mention again our DraftKings charity contest, GoingFor2.com/charity. It's a free DraftKings contest. You can win some DraftKings bucks and some T-shirts there. And we're taking donations through my GoFundMe page for FantasyCares.net, which raises money for the holidays for kids to have toys that wouldn't normally get toys for the holidays. So it's a great cause, guys. I think we've raised about $800 total. We have about a week and a half left before the contest locks. So if you haven't joined yet, go to GoingFor2.com/charity. And jump right in that contest. All right, so news and notes will be short tonight.
News and notes from around the league.
So I'm just going to go around the room. We got obviously two big stories from this past weekend, and we're just going to get everybody's thoughts on that, and then we'll jump into this mock draft. So Ryan, talk a little bit about the Andrew Luck fallout. What do you think about with Andrew Luck retiring, and then what does it do to the other skill players there on that team?
That was probably the most shocking sports news I remember in the social media era. It was kind of awesome. It kind of sucks, actually, but it was exciting to see. But, man, I don't like it for the team in general. Brissett's a dude. He's nothing special, but he's a serviceable quarterback. I think it's a damper on Hilton, damper on both tight ends. We don't know who's getting the ball. Teams aren't going to be as worried about the pass, so may hurt Mac as well. I gave Hines a little boost because I think the dump-off game will be a little bit more important now with Brissett, especially with him running around. That might be a little safety valve for him. But other than that, I don't like it for the team. And the worst part about it is they're gonna be a mediocre team with Brissett. They're not gonna be a bottom barrel because it's a talented roster. So they're not gonna be in a position to get a franchise quarterback next year.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's just in that weird limbo unless they decide to go one way or another, just trade away their draft.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point there. I didn't really think about that, about looking towards the future. If Brissett isn't their guy, they're not going to get their guy next year unless they get lucky and get that, later round quarterback that pops.
Or do the Wentz trade, like the Wentz trade back in a couple years ago.
Yeah, and then move up and get that top spot. That's true too. Tyler Makins, give us your thoughts on Andrew Luck and retiring, and what did you think when you heard the news?
I was pretty shocked as well. I think overall, my player opinion matches pretty well what Ryan said. It didn't change much for Mac for me either, just because I think he'll see a boost in touches, but his just that whole offense in general, scoring is going to go down, so touchdowns are going to go down. But overall, I haven't moved him too much, just because I think his workload has to increase a little bit. And then, like he said, Hines should go up with the dump-off game with Brissett picking up as well.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there as well. And then just real quick, we'll go to Reynolds. You got any other thoughts here that we haven't already talked about, Reynolds?
No, I think I'm on board with a lot of these guys. I've actually moved every Colts player down except for Hines. I thought I was a hero for drafting Paris Campbell in all my rookie drafts, and now sitting at the 9 pick with Paris Campbell kind of hurts.
Yeah, I can see that. A lot of people on those, I think T.Y. Hilton and, Marlon Mack and maybe even Hines a little bit, you're not, too upset. But those fringe guys that, Deion Kane and Paris Campbell and those guys, Funchess, those guys are going to feel the most brunt. I think people that took them late are going to pretty much regret taking those guys. Nick, anything you want to chime in on the Andrew Luck thing?
No, I want to echo everything that everyone's been saying. It's definitely a shock to me, and I think all the Colts skill players definitely take a small hit at the very least, and depending on who it is, maybe they take a bigger hit. So, nothing to really add. Yeah,
I agree. I think Brissett's going to be okay. Like, I don't think it kills their fantasy value. I went back and looked at his stats from 2017, and he was not great. I think 13 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. I'm sorry. Yeah, that was 13 and 7. But I looked at when they traded for him. They traded for him on September 2nd. So literally, like, not even a full week before the season started. And then he played in that first game. He didn't start. They were getting blown out, like 46-9 was the final score. So he played a little bit in that first game. And then by week 2, he was the starter. So that was kind of put them behind the 8 ball a little bit. I think he'll be better than he was at that point, this year. Because he's been his offense for 2 years. He's been, sitting behind Andrew Luck all of last year, learned a little bit more. T.Y. Hilton, he had an okay year that year. He had 109 targets, but he only had 120 last year. So targets, I think, will still be there for T.Y. Hilton. It's just a matter of the quality of the targets and can he, still be fantasy relevant. So I agree with most of what y'all said. I think that everybody takes a little bit of a hit, and you move them down just a little bit, but I wouldn't overreact. Now, those fringe guys, those Paris Campbells and Deion Kanes, they're probably going to be droppable pretty quickly here if Brissett's not setting the world on fire. All right, so the other big...
Check out my conspiracy theory, by the way, on Andrew Luck.
Your conspiracy... Oh, this is the XFL conspiracy theory?
Yeah, it's pinned on my wall. Make sure to check it out. It's a little bit off.
All right, good stuff. All right, in the last news we have here, and we'll just quick fire these really quick. We'll start with you, Nick. Of course, Lamar Miller goes down with an ACL injury. They got Duke Johnson there and a bunch of guys that have barely played in the NFL. What are your thoughts on the situation with Duke Johnson? Do you think they signed somebody, and do you think that person can step in and be Lamar Miller this year?
I think Duke will hopefully have a chance at it. I think he's proven that he can handle a decent workload in the past. So hopefully Duke gets a shot and he can maybe put up RB2 type numbers. I think there's still a possibility that the Texans do sign somebody. I heard of Ajayi rumors, but I don't know until we see something. Maybe someone gets cut like a Yeldon and he signs there down the line. But most likely week 1, Duke's probably starting, and I'd be comfortable with him as a top 30 type back for now until we see more.
Yeah, I agree. I think that he is in that top 30 range, and of course he can split out in the slot as well. With Kiki QT, I think he came back to practice today, but he's an injury risk all the time. So I think Duke Johnson can probably pick up some of that as well. Reynolds, what's your thoughts on these on this Miller news?
Well, I think in the Going-for-2 league that we're all in, I think everyone saw me probably pick up Ajayi. So, I think they're going to sign Ajayi. I think they could use a big power back, a little change of pace back. I think Duke Johnson still gets a lot of work, and you're going to see. But I think an Ajayi signing makes a lot of sense just due to the fact he's a big power guy. They'll be at the goal line a lot. I think the Houston offense is pretty explosive. Lamar Miller hurts, but you can add a guy like Ajayi. But I got Duke Johnson much higher, even if Ajayi is signed. But I think Ajayi could definitely be a touchdown vulture that could be relevant in the very late rounds.
Yeah, that's a good point there because he could be that touchdown guy. Duke Johnson's not a big guy. Tyler Makins, if you could give us an idea of what, for dynasty purposes, what are you doing with Lamar Miller? Are you just stashing him on IR and holding him, or what are you doing with him?
With Miller, I'm probably just stashing him on IR at this point. With the 2020 running back class, it's hard to imagine Houston doesn't go somewhere else. We've been saying that for years, though, so who knows what happens actually come this time next year. But the Mizzou fan in me hopes that Demarie Crockett could step up, but he couldn't even win the lead role at Mizzou, so I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, his name was pretty popular, and I saw him added in a lot of leagues. I think he was trending on Sleeper. To be honest, before this news, I had no idea who he even was. So if he steps up, it'll be sort of out of the blue. But I did hear his name thrown around a little bit as a possible replacement. So good call. All right, Ryan, let's get your overall thoughts on the Lamar Miller situation. What are you doing with this? Are you looking to add Duke Johnson to your roster?
I mean, Duke didn't really move too much for me. I'm right around 30 range. I actually sold him as soon as that trade happened. There's a rumor going around now for the trades, which I'm slightly buying in. You've seen that they're trying to move Clowney, right?
I did see that, yep.
Well, the rumor is that it's Clowney for Tunsil and Kenyon Drake. I'm willing to take a chance trying to buy somebody like Drake, who's actually a talented back, who could fill in and perform well there. Even if he doesn't, it's not a big loss, but I'd rather take a chance something like that. Ajayi towards the ACL in October, and he's kind of old and average.
Yeah.
Because he's had knee problems, so I'm not really buying there. But they're going to pass the ball a lot.
Yeah.
I think, Watson, it's going to push him even farther up for me. But if I get Duke Johnson on the team, cool. If not, I'm not worried about it. He's just kind of a flex guy.
Gotcha. All right, good stuff. So on Facebook here, AJ, he mentioned Hyde could be a possible addition there. We keep hearing rumors about Kansas City cutting Hyde. Even though he's still running with the twos, they keep saying that he might not make the roster. You think Hyde fits there, Ryan, if that happens?
Yeah, Hyde would be a nice fit there. He kind of does a lot of things similar to Lamar Miller, where they're not really spectacular. They just kind of grind. Another option could be Ken Dixon.
Oh, yeah.
For something cheap.
Yep.
Because Baltimore's pretty flush at running back, and that could be something they could move for value picks. So guys like that, like Hyde, Dixon, like those mid-level, not quite starter guys, are the perfect fit there because you can rotate them with Duke.
Yep. Good point. All right, so that's enough for the news. We had a couple other things that happened over this weekend. We're not going to get to them because I want to get to this mock draft here. So I'll give you the details here on the mock draft. It's going to be a 1 QB, 12-team PPR. We're not drafting kickers and defense. We're just going to avoid them altogether. And to give you everyone's position, Nick is going to have the 112. Tyler is going to have the 108. Reynolds has got the 102, and Ryan, you're kicking us off here with the 101. Let me hit the draft here. I gotta get this bad boy started. Let's see if I can find the start button here. I apologize, trying to do so many things at once here. This is great radio right now. All right, PPR mock draft.
Let's start talking about my pick now, then.
Yeah, you can go ahead because you're kicking it off. Yeah, all right. You should be on the clock now, Ryan.
Yeah, with pick 1, I'm taking Christian McCaffrey. It's a little bit, I think you can rotate any of the 3 running backs you want, but I like that offense the most. I know he's going to get volume. They claim they're going to take away some carries, but really, who's going to do it? I trust everything about that offense with him there, and he's going to put up tons of PPR points. I think he's a slam dunk and has the lowest risk.
I agree. I think McCaffrey would have been my pick there at the 101. So Reynolds, we see you just took Saquon Barkley. Pretty easy choice there for you at the 102, huh?
Yeah, it's not really much. Saquon Barkley's my number 1 player overall. He's still going to get all the targets, and I mean, Eli Manning, Daniel Jones, name a quarterback, they're going to give the ball to Saquon Barkley.
Yep, good call there. All right, now we're coming up on Tyler. You got the 108. Who you taking here?
I'm going to go Devontae Adams. I have him as my wide receiver 1 in PPR this year. He was last year, so it's not really a bold take by any means. But with Aaron Rodgers still there, he's about as safe as it comes at the receiver position. He's going to get over 120 targets, and they're a high-powered offense. The points will come.
All right, good stuff. And I guess the computer's going to make me draft, even though I don't want to. I'm just going to pick the top guy on here. I'm just going to take Michael Thomas. I'm not even going to give any recap on it because I don't want to be part of this. All right, Nick, you're up at the 112 at the turn, so you got 2 picks back-to-back. What you going with?
I'm going to go with Odell Beckham first right here. And then... Sorry about that. All right, so I'm going with Odell and Joe Mixon at the turn. I think being able to start with, a solid WR1 and a solid RB1, and to begin my draft here is probably a safe and smart way to go here.
Yeah, I like Joe Mixon there at the turn as well. I think personally, I'm a Nick Chubb fan, and I would have probably taken Chubb there, so I'm just going to take Chubb here on mine so that we can get this moving. All right, Tyler, you're at the 205 here. You got Devontae Adams as your first round pick. Who are you going here with the compliment to Devontae Adams?
Following Adams, I'm going with Todd Gurley.
Nice.
The injury concerns are there with his knee, but I think all that's going to happen there is they're going to limit his carries. And Todd Gurley, even at 18 touches a game, is still an RB1. He's still going to be electric and finish top 12. He just may not be the number 1 like we've seen in years past.
Definitely. All right, Reynolds at the 211, and then Ryan the 212, and then stop at the 3-1. I want to recap the first 2 rounds. So Reynolds, who you got here at the 211?
Oh, this one's going to be a little tougher right here. This is where the 2 spot kind of bites you. There's so many different options. Let's match Saquon Barkley with an offense that I think is going to be much improved and add one of my favorite running backs. Yeah, he's kind of a baby, but let's go Leonard Fournette.
All right, good stuff. I think he gets a ton of volume there in Jacksonville, so I think he's a good safe play there as long as he can stay healthy. All right, Ryan, end the second round here. What do we got at 212?
I'm going to pair Chris McCaffrey up with Keenan Allen. I think Allen's going to be a volume play. He's still going to get targets. Mike Williams, Hunter Henry aren't going to jump into it that much where it's going to hurt his production. I think, if anything, it may help, especially with the loss of Gordon. So I'm going to go him kind of as safe.
All right, good stuff. Let me quickly recap the first and second round. I got to remember that not everybody can see this because this is on audio too on iTunes eventually. But let me recap the first round. McCaffrey, Barkley, Alvin Kamara, and Zeke were the top 4. Obviously, those pretty much chalk there. I think Zeke's fallen a little bit in some mock drafts as well. He's going to the late first round, but he goes 104 there. Hopkins, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Adams at the 108, going to Tyler. Julio Jones, James Conner at the 110. The 111 was Michael Thomas, and the 112 was OBJ. And then around the turn, we got 2 running backs back-to-back with Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb. Tyreek Hill goes to the 203. Then Dalvin Cook, Todd Gurley. The first tight end off the board at the 2-6, that's Travis Kelce. Then we go receiver heavy with Mike Evans, Adam Thielen, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Antonio Brown. Leonard Fournette at the 211, the Reynolds. Keenan Allen at the 212. And now, Ryan, you are on the clock at the 301. What are you thinking here?
Hit 301. I want to pair a second running back in there because running back is terrible this year, and there's a lot of backfields and a lot of question marks. So I'm taking Kerryon Johnson. I don't know if he's going to be a complete bell cow, but I think his new upside in the passing game will make up enough for it, where that red zone work is going to get stolen by. C.J. Anderson's not going to hurt too much.
Yeah, I think he's a good pick there at the third round as well. I mean, he's risen quite a bit over the last month and a half, 2 months, where you can almost get him in the fourth round, end of the fourth round some days, and now he's all the way up to the top of the third round. But I think he gets that volume there in Detroit, and I think he's an excellent pick at the 301. All right, Reynolds, so your first 2 picks, you went running back with Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette. Are you going running back again, or are you going to go to receiver?
Well, right now, it's definitely screaming at me, don't let Melvin Gordon go too much farther. If he gets signed and you get him in the third round at this spot, you may have just done it, especially if you can match it with Barkley and Fournette. Especially if one goes down, then you still have 2 high-quality starting running backs. So it's kind of tough for me, but let's get a guy who's going to be a big play guy with some volume, and let's add Stephon Diggs to this team right here.
Nice.
I'm a little sad I wanted to go Melvin Gordon, but I think for the smartest part for this team would be to add my first wide receiver here.
All right, I love it. All right, so immediately after Diggs, the first quarterback off the board with Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Jones, Devontae Freeman, Damian Williams at the 306, David Montgomery at the 307, and Tyler, you are now on the clock at the 308. Your first 2 picks were Devontae Adams and Todd Gurley. What you going to do here at the 308?
I'm going to take Chris Carson here with my next pick. I'm not a big Chris Carson believer, but after listening to, I was listening to a few different fantasy podcasts throughout the day, and they just talked about how run-dependent the Seahawks are, and even if Rashard Penny becomes a thing, Carson's going to get plenty of carries. So,
all right, good stuff there. So Chris Carson goes, and then immediately after that, actually, did you take Chris Carson? Oh, you did. I'm sorry. Chris Carson, Amari Cooper, Josh Jacobs off the board at the 310, George Kittle at the 311, and now Nick, we are up to you at the 312, 4-1 turn. Who you got here for the 312? Your first 2 picks were OBJ and Joe Mixon.
Well, I'm going to go with, in my opinion, the WR1 for the Rams, and that's going to be Brandon Cooks. And do you want me to stop here and let you recap the first 3? Or
yeah, we'll go ahead and recap the third round here. So, Kerryon Johnson went 301, Stephon Diggs 302, Patrick Mahomes, the first quarterback, at 303. And then we went running back heavy here. We went Aaron Jones, Devontae Freeman, Damian Williams, David Montgomery, and Chris Carson to round off that run at the 308. Amari Cooper there sandwiched in the middle at the 309. Josh Jacobs at the 310. And then our second tight end is off the board, and it's not Ertz. It's actually Kittle at the 311. And then Nick just took Brandon Cooks with his compliment to Odell Beckham Jr. and Joe Mixon. And now you're on the clock here at the 401. What you got?
I can start seeing the drop-off at running back looking pretty steep, and I know we're probably going to fade Marlon Mack quite a bit. So with that being said, I would have loved to take him here, but with the question marks around the Colts offense, I'm going to go with Derrick Henry. AFC
All right.
South.
Are you worried at all about Derrick Henry as far as that offense, not being able to score enough points for him, or do you think he'll be what he was at the end of last year?
I'm going to be what he was at the end of last year. Hopefully he's 80% of that, which would still be probably low-end RB1 type production. And I think it's possible he can handle that, 300 touches and, produce in a pretty significant fashion.
All right, good stuff. After that, we go with 3 straight wide receivers with Julian Edelman, Chris Godwin, and Robert Woods is now off the board, a couple picks later than Brandon Cooks. And then, Tyler, you're up at the 405. Your first 3 picks were Devontae Adams, Todd Gurley, and Chris Carson. What you thinking here at the 405?
As Reynolds mentioned earlier, Melvin Gordon can be a league winner, so that's where I'm going to go here.
Nice. Love it.
I don't see him falling to the 4th round in many drafts, but people are concerned about him holding out, but he's got to play sometime. Even if it's week 10, he'll be healthy for the playoffs, and I'll take it. So,
yes,
with my core of Adams, Gurley, and Carson, I'll make the playoffs. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, speaking of that week 10, it's funny how people aren't afraid of taking Kareem Hunt. You know, I know it's a little bit different as far as value because you're getting Kareem Hunt super late.
am.
But it's like they're not afraid of that, but they're afraid of taking Melvin Gordon, you know, and he's going to be there in week 10. I know, like I said, it's a higher pick, obviously, but I think Melvin Gordon eventually gets back in. He wants to play football, and I think that, you know, maybe he misses a couple of weeks. They finally get him signed in there. I think he'll be fine. And then, like you said, he's a league winner. Get him in the 4th round. You can't pass that up. So good stuff. All right, Reynolds, you're up at the 411. Your first 3 picks were Barkley, Fournette, and Stephon Diggs. What you thinking here at the 411?
Oh, man, I see all these running backs going off the board, and then there's this guy in one of my group chats that just keeps hyping up the Ravens offense. So I think that I am going to go ahead and lean on Mark Ingram. It's a run-heavy offense for sure. I know this guy really loves a guy named Lamar Jackson. I'm not too much of a believer, but I do think they'll run the ball a lot, and they'll be pretty effective. I hate picking players from Baltimore, but let's go with Mark Ingram right here to add to Barkley and Fournette.
All right, that's a good combination right there. You got 3 good volume running backs. All right, Ryan, we're up at the 412. Your first 3 picks were Christian McCaffrey, Keenan Allen, and Kerryon Johnson. So what are you going with here at the 412?
That one really threw me off a little bit since so I've gone pretty safe with my first 3 picks. I'm taking a little bit of upside pick and going Kenny Golladay. I think he has touchdown upside, and he has the potential to be a low-end wide receiver 1, and that's how I'm going to take him as.
Nice. So this guy that Reynolds was talking about, the Ravens fan, do you happen to know that guy, Ryan?
I do not. I don't really know many of them, but he's probably freaking awesome.
Yeah, I heard he hosts a podcast every Tuesday and Friday night, so he must know his stuff. All right,
and it's awesome.
All right, let me recap the 4th round here. We got Derrick Henry at the 401, Julian Edelman, Chris Godwin, Robert Woods, 3 receivers straight, and then we go running back with Melvin Gordon, Sony Michel, Zach Ertz comes off the board at the 407, and then we got Tyler Lockett, Cooper Kupp, Phillip Lindsay. Reynolds goes with Mark Ingram. And then Ryan rounds it off with Kenny Golladay at the end of the 4th round. Now we're in the 5th round. Ryan, what you got here at the 401?
I'm going to go another upside pick here. I'm going to take Miles Sanders. I know I might be a little bit patient with him, but I have 2 good running backs who I can start, and I'm sure I can pick up a flex person later. But once he gets a hold of that starting job, he's not going to let go of it because he is an uber-talented running back who can do everything, whether it's running between tackles outside and he's dynamic in the passing game. Once he gets that job, it's his, and he's a star-type player. So I'm going to put my money on him.
All right, good stuff. I love Miles Sanders. He was my RB1 coming out of the draft, and I think I haven't really changed that for Dynasty. I think in redraft it's a little bit riskier because you do have Jordan Howard there, but I think Miles Sanders eventually wins that job, so great pick there. All right, so at the 502, Reynolds, it's your pick, and your last 4 picks were Saquon Barkley, Fournette, Diggs, and Mark Ingram. What you doing here at the 502?
So I had to quickly do math really quick, and I counted 20 receivers off of the board. T.Y. Hilton's still a wide receiver, too, and he's probably a high-end wide receiver, too. I think he still finishes better than this position. Let's add Diggs with T.Y. Hilton. I don't think the Indianapolis offense is going to die. It's not going to be awesome by any means like it would have been with Andrew Luck, but I still think T.Y. Hilton's a solid play, and to get him this late point, I think T.Y. Hilton will return value pretty well, so I'll go T.Y. Hilton.
All right, good stuff there. So after T.Y. Hilton, Marlon Mack's off the board, Calvin Ridley, Deshaun Watson is the second QB off the board, A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, and now we are up to Tyler. And so your team looks like you got you went running back early. You went receiver early with Devontae Adams, and then you went Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, and Melvin Gordon. 3 straight running backs. What you doing here at the 508?
Round 5 of this draft is looking like a mess, with the top of the board being James White, Tevin Coleman. So I think I'm going to go with the Giants' top receiver in Evan Ingram.
Nice.
Someone's got to catch the ball there outside of Saquon, so it might as well be him.
Yep, I love that pick there. I think he's their deep threat, believe it or not. I think, they got some receivers there that are like short underneath guys once they get Tate back, and I think Ingram becomes their deep threat almost in the middle of the field. So I love that pick there. Interesting you went him over O.J. Howard. Is there a reason you like Ingram over O.J. Howard?
I'm just not a big O.J. Howard fan. I don't know if it's Jameis Winston and the Bucks or what it is. He seems hurt pretty regularly. But,
Good point.
Yeah, I think Ingram's an outscore Howard this year.
All right, good stuff. Speaking of O.J. Howard, he goes immediately after at the 509, and then we got Aaron Rodgers, the third quarterback, off the board at the 510. And then my pick is up. I'm just going to pick anybody because I'm not really trying to draft here. 512, Chalk. Nick, you are up. Your team looks like Odell Beckham Jr., Joe Mixon, Brandon Cooks, Derrick Henry. What are you doing here at the 512?
I'm grabbing DJ Moore, wide receiver for the Panthers. I think he's going to really break out this year. Everything's lining up. Cam seems healthy. The offense will definitely funnel through CMC, but it's going to take a lot of pressure off DJ Moore. And I know there's been a lot of hype on Curtis Samuel, but I think DJ Moore's the better player and a better prospect. So I think he's a great value. I have him, 37th overall in my rankings, to get him at the end of the fifth or the 60th overall pick. I'm really, really happy.
That's awesome. Yeah, I actually like Moore. And if anybody's worried about Cam, he was back at practice, and head coach came out today and said there's no doubt in his mind that Cam starts week 1. So no reason to worry about any of the receivers there. I think they'll be fine. All right, let's recap the fifth round. Miles Sanders kicks off at the 501. Then we go T.Y. Hilton, Marlon Mack, Calvin Ridley, Deshaun Watson at the 505, A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd, and then Evan Ingram at the 508, followed by O.J. Howard at the 509, Aaron Rodgers, James White, and then DJ Moore at the 512. We are now at the top of the 6th round, and it's on you, Nick. What do you got here at the top of the 6th?
I'm going back and forth between two players, and I think it's going to come down to, I just like what I saw in the last preseason game right here the other day with Ferdarius Guice, and running backs are getting thinner, and I wanted to go with a player with high upside going into the later rounds of this draft.
All right, so far you've gone receiver, running back, receiver, running back, receiver, running back. You got a pattern going on there, so I'm assuming at the 7-12 when we get here, you're going to go receiver again.
We'll see.
All right, so Mike Williams follows up Darius Geis, then Tevin Coleman, Austin Eckler, and then at the 605, Tyler, you are up. What you got here?
I'm struggling a little bit here with this pick.
What are your options? Like, who are you thinking about?
I'm looking between Tariq Cohen, Duke Johnson, and then at receiver either Jarvis Landry or Josh Gordon.
Ooh.
Josh Gordon's a pretty big risk, but definitely has that upside with him still. I think I'm going to go with Landry. The Colts should be a high-powered offense this year. I said the Colts. The Browns should be a high-powered offense this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jarvis Landry is great.
Most of the coverage should be focused on OBJ, so maybe Landry kind of breaks out, has a little bit better year than what he had there last year even maybe, and I don't think he can get any worse than last year. So
good stuff. I know Ryan's a big believer in Landry as well. He's been going pretty late in drafts. I think 605 is probably where he's been going, but he may be even a little bit higher pick that you can get there. Immediately after Landry goes Alshon Jeffrey, Robbie Anderson, Hunter Henry at the 608. Josh Gordon is off the board at the 609, so you weren't too far off of his value there. Tariq Cohen at the 610, you were also thinking about him, Tyler, so he's also off the board at the 610. And Reynolds, you're up at the 611. Your team is Saquon Barkley, Fournette, Diggs, Mark Ingram, and T.Y. Hilton. So what are you going to do here at the 611?
Well, I like my running backs quite a bit, and I know that I'm probably, and this is a 3 wide receiver mocked, should go wide receiver. But, I mean, if you cut me open, I bleed Kenyon Drake. I've been a Kenyon Drake believer forever, and if Ryan's right, man, we get him going to Houston. I mean, I had him earlier. I have him as a top 20 running back this year. I just think everything he does is really good. He finished as RB14 in PPR formats last year, and he was fighting with Frank Gore most of the time, but when he gets a starting role, he always produces. So let's go Kenyon Drake here. as a solid. He'd be my RB4 on this team, and I think he could be an RB2 in real life.
Nice. I love it. Going another RB there. All right, Ryan, round off the 6th round here for us. Your team so far. You've also gone running back, receiver, alternate. You went Christian McCaffrey, Keenan Allen, Kerryon Johnson, Kenny Galladay, Miles Sanders. Are you keeping the pattern going here at the 6-12 with another receiver?
I am taking another receiver here. I am going Christian Kirk. A lot of questions in that offense. We have no idea what it's going to look like, but he's their most talented guy. He does a little bit of everything. I think if anybody has the chance to set up to be a star there, it's going to be him. I think he has a ton of potential, so I'm going to take Kirk there.
Good stuff there. Good stuff. All right, so we're going to recap the 601 here. I'm sorry, the 6th round. We got 601 is Darius Geis, Mike Williams at the 602. Tevin Coleman, the 603, Austin Eckler, 604, and then we got 3 receivers straight, Jarvis Landry, Alshon Jeffrey, Robbie Anderson, Hunter Henry at the 608, Josh Gordon, Tariq Cohen, Kenyon Drake, and then Christian Kirk at the 612. We're going to take a quick commercial break here, guys, just to kind of break it up a little bit, let them kind of collect their thoughts, and then when we come back, we will do rounds 7 through 14. So just hang tight real quick, guys, real quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
In the unpredictable world of fantasy sports, when all hope seems lost and chaos and confusion rule, one hero will rise. And change everything. GoingFor2.com. Because no one remembers the extra point.
All right, guys, welcome back. I am here with Tyler. I'm here with Reynolds, Nick, and Ryan. We are doing a mock draft here, 12-team PPR mock draft. We are in round 7. Ryan, you had the 701. You already made your pick, but go ahead and talk about it a little bit. What were your thoughts here with taking Will Fuller at the 701?
Yes, I took Will Fuller here. Similar to, like I said before, I built the beginning of my team pretty just not exciting. I know what I'm going to get guys. So I want some guys to pair with it who are going to have big play potential, who can win the week for me with a 5-catch, 130-yard, 2-touchdown game, because that's what Fuller can do at any time. Yes, there might be some up and downs, but there's a lot of ups, and Deshaun Watson has eyes for him. So I'm going to take that chance with his injuries and being the second option there.
All right, good stuff. So we're at the 702 now, and Reynolds, your team is Saquon Barkley, Fournette, Stephon Diggs, Mark Ingram, T.Y. Hilton, and Kenyon Drake. So what are you going here at the 702? Are we thinking, are you starting to think quarterback here yet, or do you still wait on quarterback even farther?
Yeah, in a one quarterback league, it hasn't even come to my mind yet. I want to get my guys and my players and add some depth. I mean, I could add a couple quarterbacks later. That'll do the job just fine. So here, I mean, Allen Robinson had 94 targets last season. I mean, he's finally, I think, getting it with Mitch Trubisky. And I think that Allen Robinson, I mean, he had a 1,400-yard season with Blake Bortles. He can have a 1,000-yard season, 8 touchdowns with Mitch Trubisky, who is better than Blake Bortles. So I'm going to go with Allen Robinson here and get my third wide receiver.
All right, good stuff. I love Allen Robinson. I think that he's going underdrafted in a lot of drafts. All right, following up, Allen Robinson, Duke Johnson off the board. Then there's a run on quarterbacks with Baker Mayfield going, Latavius Murray sandwiched in the middle, and then it's Carson Wentz and Matt Ryan. And then at the 708, Tyler, you are now up. Your team is Devontae Adams, Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, Melvin Gordon, Evan Ingram at tight end, and Jarvis Landry. What do you got here at the 708?
I think I'm going to go Royce Freeman here. I don't think Phillip Lindsay is going to get near the number of touches he got last year, and the zone run offense that Denver's looking to run is what Royce Freeman ran at Oregon. That should be what he excels in. All
right, yeah, I love Royce Freeman this year. I think he has a breakout, second year after his rookie season. He was kind of overshadowed by Phillip Lindsay, so I love that pick there as well. All right, following that pick, Drew Brees is off the board, so we had a big run on quarterbacks in this round. D.D. Westbrook at the 7-10, Curtis Samuel at the 7-11, and now we are at the 7-12 with Nick. Who you going here? Your team so far is OBJ, Joe Mixon, Brandon Cooks, Derrick Henry, DJ Moore, and Darius Geis. You've alternated receiver, running back through the whole draft. Are we going with receiver here?
No, I'm going to break the pattern right here. To put it bluntly, I kind of hate everybody that's on the board at this moment, at this position or price. I think Corey Davis is a good value here, but I'm not going to go with him. I'm going to just pound running back again and just put a flyer out there for Rashad Penny. I'm not a truther of Penny, but I do like him from college and kind of what I've seen for this potential. I think this offseason it hasn't been good for him, but I'm willing to take a flyer here at the end of round 7.
All right, let me just recap round 7 here. We went with Will Fuller at the top, Allen Robinson, Duke Johnson, and Baker Mayfield ran off the top 4. Then Latavius Murray, Carson Wentz, Matt Ryan, Royce Freeman, and then Drew Brees at the 709, D.D. Westbrook, Curtis Samuel, and Rashad Penny to finish off that 7th round. And now we are up with you again at the 801, Nick. What are you thinking here?
I'm going to do something I haven't done with any of my actual redraft leagues this season, but just continue to pound the running backs. This value here is way too good pass up with Matt Breida.
Yeah, I love Matt Breida. I think I've talked about this on multiple podcasts. I won't get into it again, but I own Matt Breida. So I'm in 12 leagues total. I'm in 10 managed leagues and then 2 best ball leagues. And of those 12 teams, I think I own Matt Breida in probably 8 or 9 of those leagues. So I love Matt Breida this year. I think he's going to be an excellent value here in the 8th round. So great pick. At the 805, we got Tyler up again. Your team is Devontae Adams, Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, Melvin Gordon, Evan Ingram, Jarvis Landry, and you went Royce Freeman in the last round. What are you thinking for the 805?
I think I've got to go with third receiver here. Being a start 3 receiver league, I kind of forgot about that a little bit. But I'm going to go with Corey Davis. As previously mentioned, he has a lot of upside. He is the number 1 guy in that offense, even with A.J. Brown coming in. It'll just be interesting to see what Mariota can do and if he's healthy or not.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good value there because you are getting the number 1 receiver there. That in the 805 is a pretty good pick. And then following up at the 806 is Geronimo Allison, Dante Pettis at the 807. Darrell Henderson at the 808. He's still going pretty high, even though he's had a pretty terrible preseason. 809 is the Kareem Hunt pick that just doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why you would pick Kareem Hunt, but it does go off. The computer decided to pick him at the 809. Emmanuel Sanders, who surprised the hell out of me at the 810, with his comeback from an Achilles at his age, but he is definitely looking good. So at the 810 is Emmanuel Sanders. And then now we are up to Reynolds at the 811. What you got here at the 811 for me? Reynolds, you there?
Yep, my bad. I'm thinking here. I mean, we got backup running backs now. We don't have any backup wide receivers, so we're probably gonna go wide receiver here. The board isn't overly attractive, but I see one name that really catches my eye at this position. Injured field year last year, but this dude is always clutch, and he just has it with Matt Stafford. So let's go with Marvin Jones.
Nice. I love that Marvin Jones pick there. That's a great value at the 811 because he is kind of their touchdown guy there in Detroit. He always kind of has been. And, last year he was actually on pace. If you were to stretch his 16 games out to his pace, he was actually on pace to score more than Kenny Galladay did last year. So great pick there with Marvin Jones. Ryan finishes off at the 8th round here. Your team so far is Christian McCaffrey, Keenan Allen, Kerryon Johnson, Kenny Galladay, Miles Sanders, Christian Kirk, and Will Fuller. What do you got here for me at the 812?
I'm going to continue pounding wide receiver. I'm going to take Sterling Shepard here. I know we talked about Evan Ingram being their number 1 target. Well, Shepard's the number 1 receiver. He proved in college he was more than just a slot guy with the ability to go deep and having a pretty high yards per carry around the 16 range, which nobody ever remembers because he's been buried behind OBJ and a lot of talent. So I know Eli's not exciting. Daniel Jones could be. I don't know, but someone's got to catch the ball, and I can't see them being up in a lot of games where they're not throwing. So I'll throw the dart at Shepard.
All right, good stuff. So let me recap that 8th round. Matt Breida at the top, Vance McDonald, Jared Cook, back-to-back tight ends. The 804 is Lamar Miller, which obviously the computer drafted Lamar Miller. He's not playing this year, so we'll just kind of chalk that up to the computer. Corey Davis at the 805, Geronimo Miles and Dante Pettis. Darrell Henderson at the 808, Kareem Hunt, Emmanuel Sanders, Marvin Jones, and Sterling Shepard. And now, Ryan, you are on the clock at the 901. We thinking quarterback yet? Or are you still waiting?
Actually, I'm going quarterback. I'm going Jared Goff here. I mean, he has some of the best weapons in the NFL, hands down, with 3 wide receivers who are viewed as top 24 guys. Todd Gurley, Darrell Henderson catching the ball in the backfield. He has some talented tight ends. That's a team that's going to score a lot of points, and he's at the helm. So I'm going to take Goff here. Hate being the first guy to all of us take a quarterback, but
all right.
I hate how running back looks.
Yeah, Jared Goff is off the board. I want to just give a few quarterbacks that are still on the board for the listeners out there. Cam Newton's still on the board. Russell Wilson's still on the board. Jameis Winston. And then Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray. So it kind of falls off after that. Obviously, Andrew Luck is still there, but he's not going to be doing anything this year. So you kind of you're taking Jared Goff, a sort of non-running quarterback, over Cam Newton and Lamar Jackson. So you're okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, I love both Cam and Lamar, but I think Goff has enough talent around him where he can make up for that. And I think he's a guy who can throw 4,500 yards or more this year, and they're going to put a ton of points on the board. So I'm completely comfortable with it. We've gone years without having running quarterbacks in the top end of the fantasy drafts. It's okay not to have a running quarterback. You can still win with it.
Fair enough. All right, Reynolds, you are up, and your team right now, you got 4 running backs and 4 receivers. Your 4 running backs are Barkley, Fournette, Ingram, and Drake. Your receivers are Diggs, T.Y. Hilton, Allen Robinson, and Marvin Jones. What are you thinking here at the 902?
I'm going to go a little different here just because I'm super high on this guy. I'm going to stay with wide receiver again, and I am going to pick a guy that I think has tremendous upside. He was my wide receiver 1 in rookie drafts last season, so we're going to go Courtland Sutton.
Nice. I like that pick there. It's a little off the beaten path there, but I think Sutton can definitely be a good pick. Emmanuel Sanders is still there, but I think Sutton kind of came on the end of last year. It's a great pick. Sammy Watkins, the 903. David Njoku, the 904. Larry Fitzgerald. Andrew Luck is off the board. Of course, the computer drafted him. Eric Ebron at the 907, and we are up at the 908. And Tyler, you are up.
Well, I was kind of looking at Sutton with this pick, Watkins, Larry Fitzgerald, and as he said, all 3 of those guys just went right before me.
You got sniped.
I should be able to account for the computer doing that, but I failed this time. So I think I'm going to go. I might as well take another running back in Jordan Howard. Even if Miles Sanders kind of takes over, I don't think it'll happen till later in the year. Philly likes using running backs by committees, and Howard can still get some goal line work and some early down yards. And with Melvin Gordon on my team missing part of the season, more than likely, I could use another back.
Yeah, so he's your RB5, so I have no problem with that at all. I think that the Eagles did trade for him. I think he will get some work. There's like a rumor of a 50-50 split with him and Miles Sanders, so if you get the 50 split as your RB5, you're going to love that. All right, immediately after that 908, the 909 is Kalen Ballage, and then Darwin Thompson at the 910. 911, Cam Newton went, and now we're up at the 912 with you, Nick. So your team right now is pretty heavy on running backs. You got Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, Darius Geis, Rashad Penny, and Matt Breida at your running backs. You got 3 receivers in OBJ, Brandon Cooks, and DJ Moore. What are you thinking here at the 912?
I'm going to be the last one out of the group going quarterback here. Can't pass up Russell Wilson. I think he has top 5 upside, even though it's a run-heavy offense out in Seattle. He's so efficient and got the legs. So he's going to add some points there too. So a smart player and pretty safe.
Yeah, crazy
quarterback 1.
Crazy value for Russell Wilson all the way in the 9th round. That's probably not going to happen in most leagues because I think Russell Wilson is still viewed as that running quarterback, and he hasn't really done that especially last year. But I think at the 9-12, he's definitely the pick that you want to take there. You can't pass that up. All right, let's recap the 9th round. Jared Goff went at the top. Cortland Sutton, Sammy Watkins, 2 receivers back-to-back. David Njoku at the 904. Larry Fitzgerald, Andrew Luck was drafted by the computer at the 906. Eric Ebron, 907. And then 3 straight running backs, Jordan Howard, Kalen Ballage, Darwin Thompson. At the 911 went Cam Newton. Russell Wilson just went at the 912. And we are up again with you, Nick, at the 1001. What are you thinking here at the 10 spot?
I think this guy's been pretty underrated as a tight end. He's been pretty much in the top 10 year in, year out for the last couple of years. So Austin Hooper, tight end, locked that up. And I think I rounded up my team pretty nicely going into the late rounds.
All right, good stuff. I love that pick there. Immediately after that, Devin Singletary is off the board. LaShawn McCoy, back-to-back Buffalo Bills running backs there, kind of crazy. Marquez Valdez-Scantling at the 10:04, and Tyler, we are back up to you at the 10:05. Your team right now, let me read it off real quick. Your running backs are Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, Melvin Gordon, Royce Freeman, and Jordan Howard. Your receivers are Devontae Adams, Jarvis Landry, and Corey Davis, and your tight end is Evan Ingram. What are you doing here at the 10:05?
I'm actually going to go running back one more time here. There's only one more guy I see on here that is kind of looking like he could potentially be a starter. I'm going with Ronald Jones. I'm not really a huge fan, but in round 10, if he wins the job in Tampa, he may be able to be a running back too, so who knows?
That's a good call. Yeah, Ron Jones super late there. I think that the talk early in the offseason had him kind of climbing up in ADP, and then he's kind of fallen off a little bit with the preseason play. But I think at the 10:05, he's still a great value. All right, immediately after that, Lamar Jackson, James Washington, Kyler Murray, Jameis Winston, and then Tony Pollard, who I know is Ryan's boy there in Dallas, is off the board. And now we are up to Reynolds at the 10:11. Your team right now is Saquon, Fournette, Ingram, and Drake at running back, Diggs, Hilton, Robinson, Marvin Jones, and Cortland Sutton at receiver. Are you going quarterback here at 10:11, or you still want to wait?
I'm gonna wait one more round. I think you're gonna see me get it at the turn here. There's a guy that I got a bet with saying that Delaney Walker will easily outscore Jonnu Smith because Jonnu Smith is not good at football, but Delaney Walker is very good at football. So I'm going to go ahead and say Delaney Walker here. He's easily a top 10 tight end for me. So much potential. He's the only one that Marcus Mariota ever throws the ball to when he's on the field. He has the rapport for him. He's the only guy that's ever going to see over 70 targets from Mariota. So I'm going to go with Delaney Walker here, and I'm going to ride him as my tight end one all the way to the championship in this mock.
All right, good stuff. The 10-11, getting your tight end. Good stuff. Ryan, round it out at the 10-12 and read off your team really quick. At running back, you got Christian.
My team right now, Chris McCaffrey, Keenan Allen, Carry On, Babytron, Miles Sanders, Christian Kirk, Will Fuller, Sterling Shepard, Jared Goff, and now I'm going with the Ravens' number 1 target, Mark Andrews. I have him projected as my tight end 6. Oof. I'm not swaying from that now. I think he's going to get a ton of volume there. He's done nothing but tear up camp. And they've talked, all you hear is how much chemistry him and Lamar have. And I'm banking on what I've been listening to.
Wow, I have him at 9, I think, and I thought I was high. You have him at 6. So that Ravens homerism is definitely taking hold of you a little bit.
I have a lot to back it up, and we can get into another night.
Good stuff. All right, I'm going to recap that last round here. At the top, Austin Hooper, Devin Singletary, LaShawn McCoy, MVS in the background there. That's probably Ryan's dog, I'm sure, making his guest appearance on the podcast as always. Ronald Jones at the 10:05, Lamar Jackson, James Washington, 2 more quarterbacks, Kyler Murray and Jameis Winston at the 10:08 and the 10:09. Tony Pollard at the 10:10. At the 10:10. The 10:11 is Delaney Walker and Mark Andrews at the 10:12. Let's kick it off here at the 11:01. Ryan, what are you going with here?
At the 11:01, I kind of hate everything that's available. So I'm going with old, kind of reliable, and angry, and Adrian Peterson. I know Geis is the shiny new toy, and he's going to do great, but they're going to run the ball, man. They're not a team built for passing. whether it's Case Keenum, Colt McCoy, or Dwayne Haskins starting. My dog's very upset about their offense too, obviously. But I think they're going to carry the ball a lot with Peterson and guys. So I'm going to take a chance there.
Good stuff. I love Adrian Peterson there, especially for early in the season. At this late in the draft, he'll definitely be the one to start there. I think. Ryan, is someone breaking into your house? Your dog's going crazy back there.
Dude, I don't know. He's keeping me safe. Once they see how goofy he is, they're just going to rob us. He just has the bark.
All right, so we are back at Reynolds at the turn. Let me recap real quick. Barkley, Fournette, Ingram, Drake are the running backs. Diggs, Hilton, Robinson, Jones, Sutton. And then Delaney Walker, he picked in the last round for his tight end 1. And we're at the 11:02, so we going quarterback here?
Yeah, I think everyone can see how much I love running backs. So I'm going to add probably one of the top 10 running backs in the league here in Josh Allen. And I'm going to have him roll as my QB1 for this season. I like what he can do. I think he's not the best thrower of the ball, but what he can do on the ground, he's a fearless guy. He's going to score touchdowns one way or another. Is he going to do that boneheaded decision that's going to make you just cringe? Yeah, he probably will. But he also can put up a lot of fantasy points. I mean, I had Wentz go down in the league last year, and I ran Josh Allen to a championship. So I'm going to roll with Josh Allen again. Not the prettiest you're going to get, but he's going to put up points for you.
Yeah, I love Josh Allen, and I actually had him on my Dynasty roster last year, and had I started him at the end of the season, I would have won a championship. But I started Cam Newton instead, and the rest is history. I lost. But yeah, Josh Allen is awesome. I think you're right. He's basically a running back playing quarterback. So I love Josh Allen there. All right, at the 11:03, we went to Deshaun Jackson, then Jalen Samuels, Justin Jackson from the Chargers is off the board. Dante Moncrief, Peyton Barber at the 11:07, and then we're at the 11:08. Tyler, you are on the board. You went running back heavy, so let me read your running backs here. You got Gurley, Carson, Gordon, Royce Freeman, Jordan Howard, and Ronald Jones. Your receivers, you still only have 3, Adams, Landry, and Davis, and you got Evan Ingram as your tight end 1, and still no quarterback. Are you going quarterback here?
I'm not going quarterback yet, and part of my running back heavy strategy there, running backs always get beat up throughout the year. If I make it through with this many healthy guys come week 6 even, I can trade an RB2 for a borderline wide receiver 1 just because teams are going to be desperate at running back. It happens year in and year out.
I need them.
So, but I am going to go another receiver here, and I've kind of been debating between Golden Tate and Anthony Miller. With Tate suspended a few games, I'm going to go Anthony Miller.
Good stuff there. I think another piece of strategy there that I was kind of thinking when you picked Anthony Miller is that if you look at the rest of the teams out there, everyone has their quarterback. Some teams have 2 quarterbacks, so you can skip quarterback there knowing that a quarterback probably won't go. I mean, Tom Brady went at the next round, but you still have Phillip Rivers, Big Ben, Dak Prescott, Kirk Cousins. You still got good quarterbacks on the board there, so you can continue to wait. So I love what you did there with your strategy. So awesome pick there. Like I said, Tom Brady followed that up with the next pick at 11:09. Golden Tate off the board at the 11:10. And then at the 11:11, Tyrell Williams from Oakland goes. And at the 11:12, we are back to Reynolds. What are you doing here with this 11-12 pick? I'm sorry, I said Reynolds. I meant Nick. Sorry, Nick.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, I'm going to go receiver here. I'm going to go Michael Gallup. I think he's locked in as the second option or passing option in the Dallas offense. If Zeke misses some time, that's going to open up obviously some more volume and opportunity. Even if Zeke doesn't miss time, I think Gallup's still going to be primed for a breakout season this year, and grabbing him as a 4th wide receiver on my team, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot, definitely. All right, let me recap the 11th round here. We've got at the 11:01, Adrian Peterson, Josh Allen, Deshaun Jackson, Jalen Samuels at 11:04, 11:05 is Justin Jackson, Dante Moncrief, Peyton Barber at the 11:07, which is crazy that he fell this far as the number 1 running back there in Tampa Bay. And then Anthony Miller at the 11:08, Tom Brady at 11:09, Golden Tate, Tyrell Williams, and Michael Gallup to round us off. All right, we're at the 12:01. We're coming down to the stretch run here. Nick, who do you have here at the top of the 12th?
I've been debating going potentially wide receiver again, but I think like they mentioned, running back is a commodity come the end of the season. So I'm going to go with one of my favorite rookie running backs in Justice Hill.
Right, I love that. I love that pick there. He's a good PPR guy as well. So great pick there. The next pick after that is another rookie running back, Alexander Madison from the Vikings. Obviously, sort of that 1-2 punch there with Dalvin Cook. Big Ben goes at the 12:03. Jamison Crowder at the 12:04. And Tyler, we are back to you at the 12:05. Is this your quarterback round?
It is not going to be my quarterback. Quarterback, I think at this point I'm going round 14.
All right.
As you said last time, we're still looking at Cousins, Trubisky, Prescott, Rivers on the board. As you said, most guys have 2 QBs already, and I'm going to leave the draft with 1. We'll see what happens. But this pick, I'm going with John Brown. He's probably the best receiver in Buffalo right now. Nothing flashy by any means, but I'll take it at this point.
Yeah, at the 12:05, you can't pass it up. I mean, he was a wide receiver 1 last year at the beginning of the season with Joe Flacco. So if he can replicate that with Josh Allen and his big arm, definitely a great pick there. N'Keal Harry at the 12:06, Dion Lewis, DK Metcalf, TJ Hawkinson off the board, Dak Prescott at the 12:10, and now we are back to Reynolds at the 12:11. What you got here for your next pick?
Oh man, this draft board is absolutely brutal at this point. You got to look at it, and I'm trying to inspect my team as fast as I can. I see I got 2 wide receivers on the bench, a running back on the bench. So I'm just going to add it for PPR's sake. I mean, we said it earlier in the show. One of the guys on the Colts offense that actually will get a bump will be Nyheim Hines. So I'm going to add this for PPR upside just in case. I feel like the Colts will be – I don't think they'll be out of games, but they'll be down in a couple games that they should be winning in now that Andrew Luck is gone. So I'll pick Nyheim Hines right here to just shore up my running backs and have a little more confidence in case anybody goes down.
Love it. Love Hines there. That's a great pick. All right, the 12-12, Ryan. What you got here for your pick? Ryan, you there?
Yeah, I was muted for the intruder in my house. Don't worry, it took my dog.
Thought you were kidnapped.
Quiet. But I'm going to insulate my Will Fuller pick with Kiki QT. He has upside. I like him as a volume guy if he's healthy. Again, it's always an if he's healthy. But you know what? Anybody can get hurt at any time in the NFL. It's a violent game. So I'll take the chance there on a talented guy.
All right, great stuff. Let me recap that last round, the 12th round. Justice Hill, Alexander Madison, Ben Roethlisberger, Jamison Crowder, John Brown at the 12:05. N'Keal Harry, Dion Lewis, DK Metcalf at the 12:08. Hawkinson, Prescott. The 12:11 was Demon Hines. And Kiki QT at the 12:12. All right, Ryan, we got 2 rounds to go. You're at the 13:01. What are you doing here?
Throwing up. But looking here, running back is kind of just destroyed. But I'm going to take the chance of Jerick McKinnon. I know he's been beat up. And so is everybody in that backfield. We don't know who's going to step up, but I heard he's coming back. Worst case scenario, I throw my IR and open up a spot on my bench. But I'll take the chance of the guy they paid a couple years back.
All right, good stuff. Jerick McKinnon at the 13:01. 13:02, Reynolds, you're up on the board. What you got here?
I mean, at this point, you got dart throws anyway, so you might as well go. I have this guy going in as my wide receiver 1 for rookies this season. I think he is the best wide receiver in Philadelphia. So I'm going to go with Jose Arcega-Whiteside, and I'm going to go big here and just do a dart throw and go with the Philadelphia big man.
Nice, I like it. And he had that really big preseason game, too, that had everybody thinking that they might trade Alshon Jeffrey. So I think he showed what he can do in that game. So great pick there. I love that pick. Greg Olson at the 13:03, McCole Harbin 13:04, Deebo Samuels, Dante Foreman, which is a computer pick, obviously, because he's not playing this year, Damian Harris, and at the 13:08, Tyler, you are up. This is the second to last round here. What you got?
I'm looking between Andy Isabella and Traquan Smith here. I could see Traquan being the number 2 in New Orleans with Drew Brees, which is never a bad thing. I'm let's see. Let's go with, actually, I'm going to go Deshaun Hamilton. Why not? I saw him there as I was scrolling past. Go with a complete third option that I wasn't even talking about. But if on the off chance that Emmanuel Sanders isn't ready to go, Deshaun Hamilton seems like he's ready to fill in that role.
Yeah, I think that he could be a volume guy eventually too, but you're right that Sanders' sort of miraculous recovery kind of hurts him a little bit. But great pick at the 1308. Jordan Reed at the 1309, which word is now that he will be ready for week 1, which is crazy to me. I think this guy should retire. I think he's on his 8th concussion now, which is insane. Jimmy Graham at the 1310, Zay Jones at the 1311, and at the 1312, we are back to you, Nick. What you got for your last 2 picks here?
I hate everything on the board right now. I mean, I guess we're going for just flyers, like you had said. So I'm going Traquan. I think he has pretty good upside in that offense, and if you can get it together, then maybe he'll have some pretty good weeks.
I like that pick.
All right, yeah, Traquan Smith is a great pick there. All right, let's recap this 13th round here. Jerick McKinnon, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, Greg Olsen, McCole Harbin, Deebo Samuels at the 1305, Dante Foreman, Damian Harris, Deshaun Hamilton at the 1308, Jordan Reed, Jimmy Graham, Zay Jones, and Traquan Smith. All right, give us your last pick, Nick, at the 1401.
I think at this point, solidifying my second tight end might not be a bad idea. Chris Herndon, 4-game suspension to start the year, but I have Austin Hooper to obviously hold down the ship, and Herndon, if he becomes something bigger, at least I have that. All
right, good stuff there. The next pick was Marquise Goodwin, who actually is a starter currently in San Francisco. Everybody thought he might get cut, so that's a great pick at the 1402. Ito Smith, Ty Montgomery, and we are at the 1405. This has to be your quarterback. Am I right, Tyler?
It does. I'm debating here between Kirk Cousins or Phillip Rivers. Rivers is definitely the safer pick, I would say traditionally at least. But Cousins in his first year in that offense had 30 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions. I think he's only going to take a step forward in a high-powered offense. And I think the Chargers will be a little more predictable with Melvin Gordon missing some games. So I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins.
All right, good stuff there. I'm actually on record as a bold prediction saying Kirk Cousins will finish just outside of the top 12, so not quite a QB1, but I'm thinking in the 13, 14, 15 range, somewhere in there. So I love that Kirk Cousins pick. Following that, we got Cole Beasley, Kyle Rudolph, Carlos Hyde, Chris Thompson, Devin Funchess, and we are back to you, Reynolds, here at the 14-11. What you got?
Yeah, I want to get at least one backup, whether it's a backup tight end or a backup quarterback. I don't really find a backup quarterback overly necessary. I could fill in somebody for week 6 for Josh Allen. So I think I'm going to lean high. I'm just going in these last 2 or 3 rounds. I'm just going with guys that I think have upside. There's a guy that everyone hypes up, says he's practically a receiver playing tight end. So let's go with Darren Waller here, and let's just do something bold to end it.
Nice. I like that pick there. I think he's an excellent, option there at tight end with your Delaney Walker pick earlier. He's a high upside guy that could pop, and if he does, you got him as a great value there. All right, Ryan, give us Mr. Irrelevant at the 14-12.
Doing something I normally don't like to do, and that's handcuffing. But I'm going to take C.J. Anderson here. Yes, he's handcuffed to one of my top running backs. But the thing is, he has value on his own in that offense. And I can play him in the flex if need be because he has that touchdown upside, and they're going to run the ball a lot. And if something would happen to Kerryon Johnson, that moves him to a low-end RB1 because he'll get a ton of carries. So keep it boring, but could be something good.
Good stuff there. All right, before we get to our forgotten player, I just want to go back and ask your opinions on your own team. Nick, we'll start with you first. Let me just recap your team. Your receivers are OBJ, Brandon Cooks, DJ Moore, Gallup, Traquan Smith. Running backs are Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, Darius Geis, Penny, Breida, Justin Hill. Your tight ends are Austin Hooper and Chris Herndon, and you have one quarterback, and that's Russell Wilson. What are your thoughts on this draft? Is there anything looking at that you thought you would have done differently, or do you think you did pretty well here?
I think it's a pretty solid team overall. I don't know if it's going to win the championship, but in a 12 team, it's pretty competitive. I think I have enough firepower to get me to the playoffs. So, in terms of doing things differently, I don't know. Maybe not have gone as heavy running back in the middle rounds. I mean, I don't regret it necessarily. I'm just kind of taking a look at the board right now. If I could have done something differently, I mean, maybe not. Maybe I take Mike Williams instead of Darius Guys, but I think overall I'm pretty happy with it.
All right, good stuff. All right, Tyler, your team, you went running back heavy as well. You went Todd Gurley, Chris Carson, Melvin Gordon, Royce Freeman, Jordan Howard, and Ronald Jones as your running backs. Your receivers are Devontae Adams, Jarvis Landry, Corey Davis, Anthony Miller, John Brown, Deshaun Hamilton. You picked up one tight end, Evan Ingram, and one quarterback, Kirk Cousins, in the very last round. What are your thoughts on your team? Anything you would have done differently?
I think I feel pretty well about mine overall. I like being the last one to take a quarterback. I do that in most of my redraft leagues. I'm comfortable with even your bold take. You said Cousins finishes 13-16. Even if that happens, the points per game difference is minuscule. So the only difference I'd make is I may be in a 3 wide receiver league. I may swap out Royce Freeman for a receiver, but it would probably be Curtis Samuel. And if Freeman does what I think he can, he's going to be more valuable come midseason.
Good stuff. Yeah, you got Kirk Cousins. I mean, that's a point right there that people should pay attention to is how late you got Kirk Cousins. I mean, you got a quarterback that, he had a little bit of an off season last year, but he was a top quarterback in that first half last year. He was lighting it up. He just had a bad second half that brought him down. And you got him in the 14th round. So wait on quarterbacks, guys. You don't need to draft a quarterback in the top of the round. I think that's a great strategy to do when you've built a pretty good team around him. Reynolds, all right, let's read your team off. We got Barkley, Fournette, Ingram, Drake, and Neiman Hines as your running backs. Stephon Diggs, T.Y. Hilton, Robinson, Marvin Jones, Cortland Sutton, and Jaws himself, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside as your receivers. Your tight ends are Delaney Walker and Darren Waller, and you have one quarterback, Josh Allen. How do you feel about your team?
Yeah, I think you can just wrap this up right now. If this was a real league, it'd be a good one for me. I feel pretty confident. I do running backs a lot like this, where I'm going to try to get these guys that are going to get just volume on volume. I think volume is everything in fantasy football. So I don't mind getting guys like Barkley, Fournette, and Ingram, who I think are just going to be fed and fed and fed. And then adding upside guys that I've always been a Kenyon Drake kind of guy. So I think once he gets going, people will see I should have drafted him. And then going in those last 3 rounds with Hines, Arcega-Whiteside, and Waller, my 3 upside guys. At that point, you're doing dart throws anyway. Might as well go with your guys. I know Arcega-Whiteside, if you go by ADP, wouldn't fall there. But, you got the waiver wire still, and it's not a guy I would drop anyway. I think he's going to put up a lot of points when he gets going. I think can get really going with a guy like Wentz. So I love my team. That's probably what I would do in a regular draft as well. All
right, good stuff. And Ryan, you are the last one here. So let's see. We got Christian McCaffrey, Kerryon Johnson, Miles Sanders, Adrian Peterson, Jerick McKinnon, and C.J. Anderson as your running backs. Keenan Allen, Kenny Galladay, Christian Kirk, Will Fuller, Sterling Shepard, Kiki QT as your receivers. One quarterback is Jared Goff, and one tight end is Mark Andrews. How you feeling about your team?
I feel okay about it. It's not my favorite. I kind of hated drafting out of the 1 spot because that second round pick was a little bit rough, and it got me. I got sniped a couple times, but I'm comfortable enough with McCaffrey, Kerryon as my 2 running backs. I wish my number 2 receiver was a little bit better than Galladay, but the upside's there, so it could go big. I know I'd have to make a move with this team, moving some of those younger guys, maybe for another back. But it's definitely a team I think can be a contender.
All right, good stuff. I just realized I didn't have I had the camera on me this whole time and not on the board, so I'm going to show the board to the viewers out there. If they can kind of see it a little bit. It's kind of hard to make out, but I got it just kind of shown up there. But I'm going to post this on the link inside when I post it up on YouTube, so you can go look at the link as well and kind of see how things went, guys. So don't be discouraged if you can't see the board there. All right, so let's do our forgotten player next.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, Nick, we're going to go to you first. Since you've been on the show before, you've done this already. You gave us a forgotten player the last time you were on. Who is your forgotten player tonight?
I'm going to take it back a decade to 2009. Andre Johnson, who put up probably one of the greatest wide receiver performances in the fantasy playoffs, scoring, I think it was, 89 points during the 2009 fantasy playoffs, which ranked 8th most in the last 10 years. And that season, he actually had 101 receptions off of 171 targets, 1,500 plus yards, 9 TDs. He had 6 games over 100 and 2 games actually over 190. So, and those actually came in weeks 13 and 14 when you really want your stud to show up. So that's my forgotten player.
Nice. I love it. Andre Johnson, definitely a great pick there. All right. We'll go to you next. Reynolds, what do you have for your forgotten player?
Yeah, I got a player here from 2007 to 2012, all over 1,100 yards, all well over 130 targets. I mean, this guy won me championships on championships when I was just first starting out. You could always get him for a pretty decent price, and it's Roddy White from the Falcons.
Nice.
I mean, just a monster from 2007 to 2012, just always catching the ball and was doing things with the ball and was just peppered all day with targets. So Roddy White would be my forgotten player.
Nice. I love it. People forget about Roddy White because, they had Julio Jones kind of take over for him. It was sort of a smooth transition, but Roddy White was definitely one of those guys that you love to have on your team. He's very consistent, so love that pick there. All right, Tyler, I know you had a problem, not really a problem, but you were definitely stressing about your forgotten player there, so I saved you for last. Who'd you end up going with?
I decided to go a little bit of a different route with it. Instead of going with a guy who was a perennial stud, I kind of went with a one-hit wonder. In 2004, Ashley Lilly for Denver at the age of 24.
Nice.
Went for 1,084 yards, averaging 20 yards a reception and scoring 7 touchdowns. It ended up being wide receiver 23 that year, which, like I said, it's not a fantasy stud, but definitely kind of fun to look at those middle-of-the-pack guys that no one really remembers. Something else interesting I found in 2005, he was up at wide receiver 17 in rankings from what I could see, and he kind of flopped a little bit. He only had 770 yards and 1 touchdown. So, like I said, kind of a one-year guy.
One-hit wonder. I love it. So, yeah, I had one of those one-hit wonders as my forgotten player on another podcast that I went on, and it was Sean McDonald for the Detroit Lions. You can probably Google his name because he had one big season, and that was the Calvin Johnson's rookie season. So he was someone that I'd forgotten about, even my own. And so great pull there. All right, guys, let's go around the room really quick. Let's get our Twitter handles and what you're working on. What you're doing right now. So we'll start with you, Nick. What's your Twitter handle? Where can we follow you at, and what are you working on?
Yeah, so I actually just recently changed my Twitter handle. Now at 101 Chalk, and I'm always open to talking fantasy or whatever it may be. Currently working on some in-season rankings. Updating, dynasty and redraft rankings as well, based on all these fallouts with the Andrew Luck situation and all the injuries and whatnot.
Good stuff.
That's what I'm doing.
All right, Reynolds, where can we follow you at on Twitter, and what are you working on right now?
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at ReynoldsT5858. I'm not much of a dynasty guy, so I spend most of my time doing redraft rankings. I'll do my redraft rankings. Had laptop issues for most of this whole offseason, unfortunately. Kind of hindered me. Got a new one today, so nice. We're looking pretty good there that we can start getting back at it a little bit harder than what we were able to do. And pretty pumped up for the season. I think it's going to be interesting with all these breaking news things. It's just I'm waiting to see cuts this coming up here and see every year there's a big guy that gets cut and everyone's kind of shocked about it. Kind of interested to see who it's going to be this year. So going to have a good fantasy season and hopefully get out some good content for everyone.
All right, good stuff there. And Tyler, give us your Twitter handle and what you're working on right now.
All right, you can find me at TPM_sports on Twitter. I also do some dynasty and redraft rankings on Going-For2. During the season, I try and every few weeks or so come out with an article, and I've been kind of kicking around the idea of start picking up some more Devy stuff.
Nice.
No one does any Devy right now on Going-For2, so I'd definitely like to add that content to it.
Definitely, that would be a good addition there because we don't have any Devy content at all. And Ryan, where can we follow you at?
Follow me on Twitter, Ryan Cearfoss, Fantasy FB Connect. I am ranking for Redraft Dynasty. I'll be doing free agency articles starting week 1. Does that sound right? Or am I doing one before, the week before?
No, we'll do it. Yeah, week 1 probably where you start.
Yeah, I'll be doing this starting week 1, just like I said then. And yeah, find me everywhere on Twitter. And awesome.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Of course, you can follow me at Jeff Lambert77. As always, I'm all over Twitter. Check out the show every Tuesday and Friday night during the season. We'll have a daily fantasy show on Friday night. Everyone have a good night. Peace.